ref. That's he got the ball. Good morning, Spurs fans all across the world. Hopefully you're all keeping well, and thank you for joining us back here at the Irish Hotspur as we build up to today's big Premier League game, the biggest one of the day, Tottenham versus Crystal Palace, and I absolutely cannot wait. We will be joined by Dermot. I've had to ring him. He's had a lie-in this morning, so he'll be joining us shortly. And I've also drafted in Sam out of bed as well. Spurs fans sleeping in late today. What's going on? So drafting Sam in as well. And fair play to him. You know, just gave him a phone call. He said, no problem, Dave. I'll be there. But you know what, guys? I am not going to lie. I'm slightly nervous heading into today's game. You know, off the back of the European game Thursday night. Granted, we didn't have to travel, so it should work out in our favour. But I don't think it's going to be easy. Selhurst Park is a tight pitch. They have given a lot of teams a tough game there. Man City, Man United, Wolves. I think they've pushed Liverpool close as well. You know, so they've given some big teams a good go, and I don't think it's going to be an easy game today. So I am slightly nervous about today's game. No Stone as well on that tight pitch. You know, he's going to step up with the answers. So big game today for Tottenham Hotspur, and I would like to, of course, get the win and keep that momentum heading into that Man City Cup game on Wednesday night. So Spurs fans, please let me know how you're feeling today or alleviate some of my concerns about today's game. That would be brilliant. But we've got the one and only Drew. Oh, by the way, he does have an English accent, but he lives in America, so he's up extremely early. So give him a lot of praise in the chat for that. Drew, how are you keeping this morning?
I'm not doing too bad, Dave. As we just talked about backstage, I was a little nervous as well, but I've just looked at the back of the head-to-head. 115 of the previous 18. I mean, come on, lads. What, it's only Palace.
Do you know what, though, Drew? It's just the fact that our away form hasn't been the greatest this year. That's actually what's let us down. When you look at Leicester drop points, Newcastle drop points, Brighton drop points, you know, that's what concerns me a little bit as well. But look, you know, I do get on to Spurs fans for not having that sort of what would you call that mentality, like it's only Palace. So maybe they're going to get on to me today. Let's wait and see. But let's welcome in Dermot as well. Of course, had to put him out of bed this morning. Dermot, how are you, sir?
Yeah, fine. When the clocks go back 1 hour, it fucks everything up because everything. I put all my clocks
still
back
waking
1
up.
hour.
Dermot, there's no excuse. We live in a world. Do you know what? I was only saying to the missus last night, Dermot, right? You know, I almost feel prehistoric because I remember the time where I had to go down to the kitchen in the morning and rewind the clock back or rewind it forward. Now it just does it on your phone. It's mad. You don't even have to bother with it.
I've got one clock in the sitting room, right? And I forgot to put it back an hour. It's the only clock in the house that I forgot to put back. And I'm looking at it thinking, no, I'm grand. And then I went, bollocks. I only went down the shops to get milk. And I come back and I'm thinking, I'm like, bollocks. So sorry, I was making my coffee. I'm here now, so I apologize for that.
You're all right. You're all forgiven as long as it's good coffee, Dermot. But look, we'll bring up everything everybody needs to know, and then we'll welcome some people in the chat, and then we are going to crack into it and start discussing about today's game. So, of course, the game is at Selhurst Park. Now, Palace haven't been in great form of late. I think they haven't won a game in the Premier League this year. I think they've drawn 3, lost 5, if I'm correct. And the only excitement they're really getting at Selhurst Park is that drummer guy that bounces around for 90 minutes. So hopefully that's the same today. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. For the referee, it is Darren Bond, a.k.a. James Bond. In the VAR room, it's Chris Kavanagh. I feel like this guy has been assigned to Tottenham this year. He's been a part of nearly every official group that have took Tottenham games this year. And then in the UK and Ireland, because the game was moved, because we have Europe Thursday night, it is not being shown on telly. So you will have to find alternatives. In the USA, it's on Peacock TV, or in Australia, it is on Optus Sports. And then some injury news, of course. Tottenham missing Sung Hyung-min with muscle soreness, and Spence as well with a groin injury. Crystal Palace, I've just pulled off the main players that people know. The core is doubtful today, late fitness test. Rob Holding and Richards as well out with their hamstrings. So that's absolutely everything everybody needs to know heading into this game. As always, I think it's courteous to welcome people that give up their time to come in and listen to us. So let's welcome them in, and then let's crack on. Big up, Kev Williams. Come on, Spurs, don't let us down today. Big up, Kev. Good to see you, boy. We also have Stefan Blois, first in and last out. I know what time it is, Jack and Dave. Up the Spurs forever and always. 3-1 Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Big up Stefan Blaise. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. He says Solanke with a brace today. Look, with it being a tight pitch, I'm of the opinion you need your striker up there today and around the box to hunt out the chances, and I think he's the right guy. Bob being counter. Good to see you, Felix. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Luke Thompson, Spurs time, winning 2 trophies this year. Trust me. Look, hopefully you're sent back from the future, my man, and you're telling us what to expect. We've got Kerry King. Morning. Nice sunny day for a good win. Come on, you Spurs. Good to see you, Kerry King. It's a bit overcast here today, to be fair. Stefan Blaise says my coffee smells like a Mikey Moore goal today. Jeez, look, that's one part of the discussion we'll have to get onto in a while, is about Mikey Moore. Because I'm not convinced he's going to start today. Let's wait and see. Terry Betts, 3-1 Spurs. Love to see it. Spurs GCTV afternoon, gents. Let's go. 3 points in. Come on, you Spurs. Peter Disney, 3-1 Spurs. Everyone's gone 3-1 today. It seems to be the common scoreline. Dragging these nuts. Come on, you effing Spurs. Good to see you, sir. Donovan Oosterreicher, a scrappy, desperate display ahead of Crystal Palace, or as Crystal Palace look to get their first points of the season on the board against the informed Tottenham Hotspur, who are flying and winning 7 of their last 8. Come on, you Spurs. We are in form, Donovan, but it's important we keep this form going, sir. We have to. One thing Tottenham always do is shoot themselves in the foot somewhere along the line, and we can't afford to do that today. We've already had that against Brighton. Got to keep winning. John Tucker, good to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. Faz Radfar, 3-1 Spurs, my favourite channel. Hope you're all well. I have a feeling we'll win 3-1 today. Everyone's gone 3-1. Fazzy. Danny Passes from our Uruguay. Let's go. Come on, you Spurs. Wherever and however we march on. Absolutely love that, Danny. Good to see you. Paddy Higgins, morning all. Need 3 points today so to lessen the pain of another dreadful fantasy football weekend. Not having a good one myself this weekend. I could be caught. Danny Darko, oi. Kois, big up Jack and Dave and all in chat. Good to see you. We have Divi Visharan. Going to be a real tough game, especially with Palace are down. Their fans are going to be right up. Do you know what? Their fans are always up for it, to be fair to them. Anytime I've gone to games against them, that stupid drummer just keeps them going all game long. It's really irritating, actually. Jeannie D, good to see you, sir. K32, good to see you. I'm confident he's got 4-1 today. DJ AK, big up, lads. Another win incoming. I really hope so, lad. Everyone's so confident. Good to see you, Shemtam. Hopefully you're keeping well. Caridas is in the house today. We will see if Spurs really have tightened up. Hope so. Good point. Rooty Toot, big up all. If it's no sunny today, that's a concern, especially if Furnace starts, despite what Andrew said about his lack of product. Free Mikey Moore. 100% definitely free Mikey Moore for sure. But what I will say was we did beat Man United without Son 3-0, if anyone remembers. So we can win without. Let's see if we can do it consistently. Big up, Thomas. Good evening, everyone. I have a good feeling about today and optimistic about the game. Big up, Dave. Come on, you Spurs. We'll take a couple more. We'll welcome Sam in and we'll crack on. Bob Down Under, great to see you. Future Music, as always, great to see you. Gabrielle T as well. Good to see you, sir. Lee Neri, great to see you, sir. Phil Coys, good to see you. I think with this, we will win this game comfortably 2 or 3-0. I really hope so. True Pack, love that name, says good morning, afternoon, everyone. 9 a.m. here in or 9 p.m. here in Australia. Here for both before sleep, before work. Absolutely love that, lad. Big yourself up. Good to see Ash in the house. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big Pants, Ron V. Incy Wincy as well. Cozy, great to see you. Big up, lads. Today's the day to stamp our authority and start our winning march with the next matches coming up till the international break. Absolutely spot on, lad. Good to see you. Kulu's elusive right foot. What a name. Great to see you, sir. Aussie Spur, Polly Cooper, Yoga Bear, The View from Nowhere. Who else have we got? We've got Bonjo. We've got Magic as well. Alberto, good to see you. Foggy Foam, great to see you as well. And then Hug the Love Bear, good to see you. And as always, Del Boy, great to see you. So I think I've caught nearly every name in there. Tom as well, good to see you. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. A lot of you in nice and early, really pumped up for today's game, which is great to see. Let's welcome in Sammy Boy. Sam, absolute great jersey, my man. That must be new one to the collection. How are you keeping?
It is new. It actually arrived on Friday.
It's very white.
Thought I'd give it a little go to that today. Thank you for welcoming me on. Pleasure to be on with you, Prem. Dermo, always wanted to get on with you. Actually, your positivity. Wanted to see how it was in real time. So I'm ready to go.
Sorry for pulling you out of bed as well, Sam. I do apologize, but thank you very much. Really appreciate it, lad.
That's all right. No worries. Otherwise, I'd just be asleep till the game, pretty much. So.
Ah, good. At least we're giving you something to do, or at least we're giving you something else to do instead of FIFA anyway. That's good. That's good. But guys, let's get into it. I do want to kick off just briefly a quick discussion about the penalty incident from Thursday night. And I just want to know, sort of, see where people's thoughts are at. So we'll start with you, Drew. Drew, how did you feel about the exchange between Maddison and Richarlison over who would take the penalty?
I don't really. I feel like it's a bit of a non-event. I think he's spoken about it afterwards, and I think he's said that he was happy to give Richie the penalty. I think he mentioned last year about how he hadn't scored a goal and came back and scored a penalty or something similar. So it doesn't really bother me. So long as the ball goes in the back of the net, I honestly do not care. If it was, I was just going to say, if it was Mikey Moore, it might be different, but that kid would probably slot it away as well. No, I don't really have an issue with it. Don't really have an issue.
Lee,
smash a like, everybody.
Just quickly, Lee, I wholeheartedly apologise. To me, I just call everyone, lad or man or stuff like that. It's just the way I speak. But I do apologise. I do apologise. Please put in the chat. Let me know what you would like to be addressed as. But thank you, Lee, very much for supporting and tuning in. You're always here, so really appreciate it. Dermo, do you agree with Drew that it's much of a non-incident? Or, because I think for me, there's two ways you can either look at it. I think, you can look at it that it was a sign of competitive spirit, which I think is good, that everybody's hungry, right? Everyone wants to get on the score sheet. But also, some people could look at it as maybe a lack of team cohesion.
No, I think it was a bit of nothing. I honestly do think it was Richie. He's been injured. He wanted to get that goal for his own confidence. I think he wanted to get that goal as a thank you to the team, to Ange, to everyone that supported him through this tough time that he's been through. And it's not, everyone compared it to the Chelsea thing. It's nothing like the Chelsea thing. Absolutely different. And the way that they were doing it, he got the ball and Maddison, they wished him good luck, go on, gave him his captain speech, and he put it away. Drew's right. I agree with Drew. It was a bit of nothing. It was nothing like the Chelsea thing. The Chelsea were just a bunch of idiots, to be fair. And it was just Richie wanting to go, wanted to pay back Tottenham a bit of a thank you for standing by him. And I'm glad he got it. And he took his penalty very well, by the way. Straight down the middle. Didn't give the goalkeeper a chance. And I no problem with it whatsoever. It's nice to see. It's nice to see that they actually care. That players care. They want to put that. They want to give something back. And he wants to take a penalty. If it comes to a penalty shootout, at least there's players up there that got the guts to go out and take one.
Fair point.
So do you know what I mean? It's good to see, not a problem, and fair play to Richie and really pleased for him.
No, fair point. Fair point. Hopefully, if we ever do get into a penalty shootout in one of the cup competitions, hopefully none of them shy away and they're arguing over who's going to take them. That'll be absolutely brilliant. Sam, what was your thoughts on the incident, my man? Because look, I don't like it. I remember Chelsea doing it before and they got absolutely slated off the back of it. And, some would argue, you look at it, especially when that happened around that time, there wasn't great chemistry or team cohesion going on. It was sort of everyone out for themselves. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I disagree with the panel, to be honest. I was at the game.
Yeah, you were actually. I forgot that.
I was sitting in the stands, sort of like, oh no, like we're doing a Chelsea right now. And I do think that you guys are giving the Richie a bit too much credit, I think. Not that I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that he wanted to take the penalty, but I don't think he was looking out to repay the fans and the team and everything. I think he wanted that penalty for his own selfish reasons, and that is, I'm a striker, I want to score. So whether it's like a nasty selfishness, I don't think it's that. But I think he did want to score, and I wonder if in the back of Madders' mind there was a thought of like, this looks bad from the outset. And then also the pressure of, if Madders then steps up and misses it after taking the penalty off Richie, then that's another, conversation that has to be had. So I do think that there was a little bit of selfishness involved, and then kind of Madders, I don't think Madders personally then felt right to take the penalty. So I think he passed it off as nice as it was. And I'm sure there was a bit of what he said about it. I wanted to give Rishi, get the monkey off his back and everything. I do think it was a little bit more than what you guys do personally.
Do you know what? I sort of agree with you on that one, Sam. Just give me a minute. K32 says Dave Timo once went to shoot himself in the foot and he missed. Yeah, that would not surprise me. And then we've got this from Anthony Grimes. He says this stuff is predetermined, which is spot on. If Madison, who was nominated to take penalties, Richie shouldn't have challenged. But like Madison's, he likes Madison's decisions, and I agree with that. I think Madison would have been a designated penalty taker. I think Richarlison was the one that created that situation, and I can understand Madison wanting to, continue on and carry out what the instructions were, but also. People forget Madison is also under a bit of pressure. He also needed that sort of goal as well. And look, in the end, fair play to him giving it up for Richarlison. I think he deserves credit. I think it shows leadership from James Maddison, realizing that Richarlison has gone through a very tough time and that he probably needs it more than James Maddison. So fair play to him. But it's not something I want to see going forward. Don't get me wrong. I like the hungriness of players to sort of step up and prove a point. I like that. But at some point, if that keeps happening, it's going to come back to bite you in the foot. And to be honest, I have no doubt Ange Postecoglou behind the scenes would have said that does not happen again on my football pitch, to be brutally honest with you. But, I just worry a little bit about that. Two players, with egos, both want the goals. Sometimes, it can cause a little bit of friction. Hopefully not going forward, but let's wait and see. But I did not like that. From now on, just carry out the instructions. I'm sick of egos at Tottenham Hotspur.
Can I just put it out there, right? Because we have been known as a fan base to also criticise when the players don't step up and show a bit of, what's the old school word, a bit of gumption, right? So the fact, let's just put a scenario out there where they're all actually grown up men. And Maddison, as a vice captain, decided, you know what? Yes, I'm the designated penalty taker, but I feel good letting Richie take the penalty. And I want my striker to be selfish, and I want him to think that he's going to score every single time, right? Otherwise, we've just got players that are just hiding behind other players. So I would just throw that out there a little bit. I'd like to think, as I say, it was very. I thought it was done in a far more classy way than Chelsea. Like, it wasn't like they were standing there having an argument, right?
If we missed, though, there would be complete different conversations around it, though, right? The fact that we scored is kind of being blown under.
But it's just one of those things, right? Either of them could have missed. There could have been a situation where you'd have seen them have an argument on the field. Then you see Richie turn away in disgust, and then you see a mad Maddison put the ball down and hoon it over the bar. So, do you know, it's just one of those things. Like, what happened, and you just live with it, right?
Yeah, no, look, fair enough. I understand what you're saying. Like I said, I do admire the hunger of both players, but it's not good, and that can't continue going forward. Big up the outline. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Good morning to you, and hopefully you're ready to. Hopefully you've got the mother making some eagle pie for you today, my man. Good to see you. We need to get out walking this week. But look, let's keep it moving, guys. Dermotron, does the victory against Alkmaar indicate that Ange and his team are now more comfortable and capable of seeing a game out compared to before? Because, before when games were tight, Tottenham would often concede. And don't get me wrong, I understand it says the Alkmaar, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the first time we've seen Tottenham play a game out and played out tight. It was 1-0. And that penalty did come at a pivotal moment of that game because it was going 0-0. And as Sam was there, if you watch it on TV, I've said it before, you see it differently when you're at the game than you do it on TV, because you see a bit more of the formations, of the tactics, how players are playing more than you do on the TV. But it's great to see that with a back four that I felt a bit nervous with, and the goalkeeper that we all went when that lineup came out. Drew was there as well, and we both went, "Oh God, it's Foster, it's the oak tree." He ends up playing a blinder. And if it wasn't for him, I think they would have scored. So I think we're still at that sort of edge of your seat stuff. 1-0. That could have been 1-1. Wasn't for Fraser Foster, to be fair to him. But we're learning. And we're learning how to see games out, and we're getting there. And it's different to what it was under previous managers, where you went 1-0 up and you're thinking, oh, we need another one, or we need another one. And I think that's the sign of a winning team, of a team that can see games out 1-0. That's the sign of a championship winning team or a cup winning side, where you're 1-0 up and you can see it out. And I think we're learning how to do that now under Ange. And it's good to see. But I was still nervous. I was still on the edge of my seat. And I was still thinking, Parrott's going to nick one here. But, so, you know, yeah, and if it wasn't for Fraser Foster, he made 2 amazing saves, Fraser Foster. He really did. And he kept us in it twice. But, yeah, we're learning, but we're getting there. And that's the thing. But today's the test. We need to do it in the Premier League. It's easy doing it against a team in Europe where we should be beating them anyway. Today's the test. We should be doing it in the Premier League, and we haven't been doing it in the Premier League. Once we start doing it in the Premier League, I think then we're turning a little bit round the corner from that. But look, we got to start somewhere, and yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see that back in the old days, it was always 1-0 to the Arsenal. Back when I was a kid.
You're going to start singing 1-0 to the Tottenham, Darmo?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I remember as a kid for years watching Arsenal just winning 1-0. And they won a league. They won the league in 88, 89 and 1991 by winning just 1-0. Because they could see out games. Man United done it for years, seeing out games. So we've got to learn to see out games, and we're starting to learn that now. And with the defenders we have, we should be able to. So, yeah, today, it starts today. We need to do it in the Premier League. It starts today.
No, 100%. And look, it was good to see us, see that out against Alkmaar. Look, we should. I would argue. I don't think you're going to get away with that back line against some of the better teams we have coming up in Europe, or especially in the knockout phases. Anywhere near that lineup, I think we'll have to go revert back to full strength when they come about. But, hopefully we can start doing it in the Premier League as well. I do think we're starting to tighten up a little bit more across that back line. Don't get me wrong. We still give away some easy chances, but not as many or as frequent as we once were. So hopefully, today can be the same, because Palace are going to sit low block. They're going to sit in. They're going to sit deep. They're going to play a 5 across the back, put everybody behind the ball. And they're going to put the onus on us to break them down, and they're going to look to play out on the counter. So today, that back line's going to have to snuff them chances out and look to keep it tight to give that springboard for us to be able to go on and get the victory, because I do think it might take us a while to break down this Crystal Palace team today. I think it's going to be a long, sort of frustrating game. So hopefully, the defense can hold out for us today. Sam, some fans claim they won't support Ange until he defeats a top 4 team or an elite level opponent, which, look, I think is fair enough. You've got to start to beat them teams if you really want to go on and gather momentum and get people and belief behind you and stuff. But would a victory against Palace fail to sway people of that sort of opinion, or could another win attract more supporters to the Ange train? Because this is something I see an awful lot across socials, where a lot of fans are sort of holding back to see what we do against the likes of Villa, City and that, which are coming up.
Look, I can respect that kind of, saying we don't beat the bigger teams and they're still not fully convinced. I don't know if
so.
I mean, as you know, Dave, I've always had like some reservations with Ange, but I don't think that you can sort of just write off the sort of winning run that we have been on. Obviously, Brighton game aside, I'll forget that one, just like I try and forget the Nuno period at the club. I think that a lot of fans are kind of a bit spoiled, or a bit entitled, and they want to see us, go and win every single game against every team. And what Spurs fan or football fan doesn't want to see their team do that? But then you kind of neglect everything else that's going on. You know, we're seeing players come into some form now. Not everyone, but there is a lot of decent form. And you know, you can't write off these performances. And to be honest, the vast majority of them, pretty much other than the Coventry one, which is the irony, because you know they're the weakest of the few.
Yeah.
We've put in very convincing performances, you know, and I think an argument last season that a lot of us had, including myself, was that we hadn't seen the team put in a dominant 90-minute performance. And we've been doing that. Maybe not necessarily the whole 90, but what team dominates from start to finish, right? There's always going to be swings in the momentum of a game. But as much as we're not super clinical, we're scoring goals, we're, you know, drawing a lot of praise from rivals saying how much they like our team. So if rivals can like our play, why can't the fans like our play, right?
No, 100%. And I think it comes down to Stevie Fraser's comment here, actually. I think it's a great comment. He says plenty of fans don't get that while you are building something, you can't expect the same end product every single week. And I think to a certain degree, I think he's absolutely spot on. You know, when you are trying to build something, there will be ups and downs until a lot of people sort of grasp the project. And I think, you know, the worst thing that happened to football was Abramovich coming in and funding Chelsea the way he did for quite some time, because I think that sort of brought in the mindset of, oh, you can have instant success. But with the way our owners operate, a manager does need time to build it. Some of our best managers, who from my lifetime have progressed this club. Martin Yeo was given time, got us into Europe. Harry Redknapp was given time, got us into Champions League. Pochettino was given time, nearly won everything across world football. You know, we've tried the hire and fire manager approach, for instance, instant success or gratification, and it hasn't worked. So I do think, you know, we have to give Ange Postecoglou time to build it. But you know what? Maybe I'm on my own with this, but like a lot of people say he has no clue and that he's naive in that, but he walked into the Premier League in his first season, brought a team that had one of the worst defenses the club has ever seen. They've also lost their star striker. They've also had to replace the goalkeeper for the first time in a decade. You know, and he's walked in here and he's pulled it all together to drag us to fifth with a squad that he didn't entirely trust. You know, and then, okay, over the course of this summer, he's got more players in. But what I think the progression that you're starting to see is the reason why we're on this run now is because the squad are showing that they can come in and keep this going. You know, we've won all of our European games so far, and that keeps the good feel factor going. In years gone by, we've rolled out the squad, and it's ultimately come back to bite us, let us down, ruin any sort of momentum that we were trying to build. So hopefully now we can continue that going forward, because I do think that's important. When I listen to a lot of the class of 92 from Man United, they all speak about and all give credit to the likes of the squad players who were able to step in and keep things ticking over while they were being rested or while they were absent, and the importance of it. So, you know, and plus the style of football. I mean, Tottenham dominate possession. Tottenham dominate games, especially this season. And a lot of the games where we've dropped points, I look at them games and I don't think we should have dropped points. And that's what I find really disappointing about it. I think we're good enough in all them games to go and take maximum points. You know, and I think we shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes. I think that's hard to eradicate. I think the biggest thing that Postecoglou has to try and change is the mentality. But yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit. Like, this guy walked into Tottenham Hotspur on his own. He didn't bring an assistant manager. He didn't bring a coaching team with him. He done it on his own, and he managed to get the staff to buy in and be able to train what he wants out of the squad on the football pitch. You know, all on his own without bringing a big team with him. A lot of managers bring teams with him, and fair play to the guy. And long may it continue. I think we've got a really good manager here, and I think the longer he's in the job, I think the more he'll prove that personally. And I really do hope that more fans can get on board with it, because I do think this guy could be the guy to end the trophy drought, to be quite frank with you, and hopefully that is the case. But big up Stevie Fraser, my man. Really appreciate the support. Anyone want anything to say off the back of that before we move on, guys?
Could I just reply?
Sorry, you go first. Sorry, no, you go first.
I was just going to say,
fight each other.
There's a response to what I said in the comments. Daniela Zito, she says fans. She quoted my my line: "Fans are spoiled and entitled," but I didn't actually say. I said they can be. And she said, for fuck's sake, entitled to what? Mediocrity. We haven't won anything for 16 years, making us mediocrity FC. And look, I've said before, I was around 9 when we won the trophy, the last trophy. I'm now 25. I didn't really even watch football much back then, or at least understand it. So in my entire Spurs career, I've seen sweet F4. So I'm entitled. I'm spoiled. I want to see a trophy. I'm not cussing out all the fans. I'm just saying that we're in the Premier League, right? And we play in elite competitions. You can't just expect, fans shouldn't just expect to go on the pitch every week and win, because we come up against good managers and good players. It's not just that we've got the best. We're not Man City. We're not Real Madrid. Obviously, they got done in the Clasico yesterday, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that you have to kind of take the rough with the smooth. You can't expect to go out on the pitch and just dominate for 90 minutes against every team we play, because that is a disservice to the rest of the league and the rest of the teams that we play. That's all I'm saying.
And look, I don't think Spurs fans are spoiled or entitled whatsoever, to be brutally honest. I think we've got one of the hardest times out there. We're constantly around the big six, but we never really push on to win anything. And we're sort of the laughing stock of the Premier League. They all wait for us to lose so they can see Tottenham get battered wherever they go. And I think we've a very tough job supporting Spurs, especially with the up and down nature of it. But I do I get the impatience from the Spurs fan base, because it's been so long since we've won anything. And trust me, I get it. The aim of the game of football is to win trophies. I 100% get it. But in order for us to get there, because of the owners we have and the fact that they do things in increments, they don't go to manager, you can have everything you need this summer. It's going to require longer than a year in a job for a manager to be able to get it right, to be able to gather some real momentum and really sort of push it forward. It's going to take longer than that. I think sometimes we are too quick to get on the manager's back and blame him for absolutely everything. I've seen a common denominator. Get on Nuno's back, sack him. Get on Conte's back, sack him. Get on Jose's back, sack him. To a large degree, get on Andrew's back, try and get him sacked. And it's just sort of like, when are we going to learn? Changing manager isn't Tottenham's Hotspur's problem right now. There's other things at play that have been Tottenham Hotspur's problem. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. You've got to give a manager time to rebuild a squad, cohesion, belief, everything else. But sorry, Dharma, I know you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm lucky enough to see us, I feel sorry for fans like Sam that haven't seen us win anything. And it really upsets me, because I've seen us win stuff, and I feel quietly embarrassed that Sam and you, Dave, as well, haven't seen us win an FA Cup. I have. I've seen us win 3 FA Cups, though I was really small.
Don't rub it in, though, man.
No, but the point I'm making is, Keith Birkinshaw, when he took over, he took us down in his first season. The board could have got rid of him. Then there would have been no buying Ozzy Ardiles or Ricky Villa the following year when we came up from the second division. Then there would have been no back-to-back FA Cups and no UEFA Cups. You've got to give managers time to do stuff. You don't have to spend millions to do it either. Jack Walker back in '95 bought Blackburn and pumped millions into it, and they beat Man United, who were under Alex Ferguson, were the most successful club at the time in the Premier League. No other team had won the Premier League bar Man United. Then Blackburn won it. So you've got to give managers time to put things together, to put the foundations down, to put the team together. And I always say it, and I'll keep saying it to the day I die. We've got to build off the past. You've got to use the past as your focus. They're the foundations that previous successful managers have built for you. You've got to build upon that. And that's why teams are successful. You look at Liverpool in the 80s, 3 different managers came in, were all successful because they had the continuity of have the players there, but they built on the foundations the previous manager had built. You look at Manchester United, Ferguson, how many teams did he rebuild over his tenure at Man United? loads, and he was due to get the sack. It took him 4 years before he won his first trophy. So I think football has changed over the years. Football is more of a cutthroat business now than it was back in the day when I was young watching football. And I think fans want success now. They don't want to wait. They don't want a project. And we're so starved of success as fans that we just want it now. And if we don't see it going the right way, we just want the manager out. Get a manager in that can win us a trophy. But we've had a Nuno. No, not Nuno. We had a Mourinho. We had a Conte. Nuno's just a garden gnome. Will always be a garden gnome. I don't know. He's just a manager. Should never have been there. But I sort of agree with Sam. Every fan should be entitled to win. But you're not entitled to win, if you know what I mean. But we do, because we haven't won for so long. But look at Newcastle. They haven't won anything since the late 50s, early 60s. So if you think we're bad, they haven't won anything since then. So, you know, to me, we will get there. We've just got to give this manager time. We've got to give him time to build the squad and the team and this philosophy he wants. And let's back this manager. We did it on the Poch. He nearly gave us success. He didn't get over the line. Let's do it under this man, because I know what he can do. Following him a long time before Celtic. Me and Dave seen him what he can do with Celtic. And he will get us there. Ange Postecoglou will take us to the promised land. Back him, support him, stand by your man, as the song goes. We will get there.
By the way, great points you brought up there throughout there. A lot of people saying absolutely brilliant. I think you should retire now. I don't think you're going to have a finer moment in life off the back of that one there. But look, for me, I think, you know, we've got to give Ange time, and hopefully the more time he's getting in the job, the more he proves people wrong, he gets them on side moving forward. But we got this from Eddie. He says, sorry, I'm late, boys. Had something keeping me. Come on, you Spurs. You're all good, Eddie. You're all good. We don't want to know what it was. You know, probably having some selfish you time, I would say, Eddie. You're okay, my man. You're allowed, I suppose. Now, big up, Eddie. Hopefully everything's all right, though, sir. Good to see you in the building. And Ash P, member for 10 months. I love this club enough to suffer through the rebuild. And look, that's it. It is suffering. Don't get me wrong. It is a form of suffering at times being a Spurs fan. But and I know we've been in a constant rebuild. But you know, sacking another manager, bringing another one is only going to keep keeping us in a constant rebuild. So I do think, you know, keeping Ange in the job, and the more he wins games, the longer he's going to be here. So anyone that said he's going to be sacked by Christmas might have to reassess, probably start here and he'd be sacked by Easter or something like that next. But big up, Ash P. Really appreciate the support. Guys, if anyone does want to show support to the channel, you can do that in a number of ways. Smash that like button. If you are new, smash that subscribe or share the content out to fellow Spurs fans. Tell them they need to get in on this conversation and have a listen. Feel free to super chat. Makes your message stand out in the chat, means we can't miss it. The chat does go thick and fast, as you know. I do my best to bring up every comment I can, but if you want to make it stand out, make sure we can't miss it and we have to address it, feel free to do that, or grab yourself a membership to become a part of the community, or gift them out to others. But guys, let's start getting into it, because lineups will be out in a little while. I'm going to pass a question off to you, Drew, while I go and find something. I'll be back in 1 second. And then I want to have a little discussion on Vicario from Thursday night's game. And then we'll start getting into the team. But, Drew, Spurs have dropped a lot of our points away this season, like I was speaking to you about at the start. Leicester, Newcastle, Brighton. And in general, our away form under Ange hasn't been great. I think if I'm correct, I think we've won 8, lost 8, and drew 7. So we don't really pick up a lot of points on the road. Why do you think we don't travel away from home well, Drew?
It's a good question. I think part of it has been the team getting used to the way that he wants to play. I think the high line is always going to give you a problem if you're not putting the ball in the back of the net when you get the opportunity at the other end. Like, you need to be clinical for this sort of style to work, and I think it's just taking a little bit of time. And the points that we've dropped this year, the one at Leicester, I think you can put that down to individual error, not necessarily the way, not necessarily playing badly. Arsenal, arguably individual error. Newcastle, arguably individual error. So I feel like the more coaching that the back line gets and the more we play this system, I think we'll eke out those issues. I'd like to think Brighton's an anomaly, and it's not one of those things. I'd like to hope that we won't see that again this season, where the team absolutely capitulates, because I think that game was down to getting too full of themselves and thinking that maybe they'd won the game at half time, and then just being shown up. But I think the other dropped points. There's an argument, like people have said, and like we've said in previous shows, there's an argument that we were still the better team for large parts in those games. So just a harmless potato, big up. I think I think it's just going to come down to coaching. I think it's very, very hard unless you're very good at a low block. I think it's very, very hard. If you're gonna play cavalier and you're gonna play high line and push and run or whatever it is, and you're essentially the philosophy is I think we're always gonna concede one or two, and it's down to us to score more than them.
No, 100%, and I definitely think the way we set up it's designed for us to go and take chances and kill games off before teams either sort of even feel like they have a bit of momentum late in the game, can go and nick something. I think going into the last 10 minutes, I think it's important that Tottenham have a 2-goal cushion. But look, going away from home, and I must stress this, it's been a problem under Conte. It was a problem under Jose Mourinho as well, to a large degree. It's not just an Ange Postecoglou problem, and it is something. And I do think it comes down to mentality. It's one thing, going out there with the chest pumped out in front of your home fans, but going to an away ground where the fans aren't singing your names and stuff like that, you've got to find that motivation within yourself. At home, sometimes fans can carry you through difficult times. Away from home, you have to find that within yourself and within your teammates. And that, I think, is something that we're going to have to start looking at away from home, and hopefully we can do that. We've got this from Mark Satoshi. He's gifted out 5 Irish Hotspur memberships. I'm just going to call out the names of the lucky recipients to that. And then I will be bringing up footage from Vicario on the bench from Thursday night, which I absolutely love it, by the way. I think many people have seen it, but we'll have a quick discussion. But big up, Mark. Really appreciate the generosity in handing out the channel membership. 7, make sure you come on and speak to us at some point. Spurs, GCTV, Ghosted, Sharif, and also Near Aviv as well are all the lucky recipients. So make sure you get on to Lee and thank him very much for that. Really, really nice of him. And then 7 has gifted his one forward, which is really, really nice of him, actually. Fair play to you, 7. I'll say who's the lucky recipient of that. Just bear with me. That lucky recipient is Callum Roach. So, guys, make sure you say thank you to 7 and also to Mark Satoshi as well. Really appreciate the generosity, guys. Big up Luka Modric, one of my favorite players ever to grace the game. Big up, Mark. Really appreciate that, guys. But, guys, this is footage from Guglielmo Vicario from Thursday night in the Champions League. And it's basically him on the bench, acting like a manager, issuing instructions, basically acting like a leader. You can see him here on the far left, pointing, telling people what to do, who to pick up, where to push up, which I absolutely love. Look at him. He's so invested. It's absolutely brilliant. We'll go on to the next image now, or the next one now. Here he is again, standing up, telling people what to do. You've got Van de Ven and that big bald guy who looks like Brad Friedel laughing at Vicario. Ange Postecoglou is standing beside him. He doesn't quite know what's going on with Vicario, but it's good to see leaders emerging. We also have this again from Vicario, pointing, shouting, telling people who to pick up, where to be. And then we also have him here again, screaming and shouting at people from the bench, which is absolutely great to see from someone like Guglielmo Vicario. We ask who the leaders are, so I want to know off you guys, what's your thoughts on a player doing that from the bench, but also haven't recently done the captain's armband. Do you believe that Guglielmo Vicario is emerging as a leader within this squad. We'll start with you, Soren, and work our way down. Oh, sorry, Drew.
Yes, yeah, I think he is. I think he's getting more and more established as one of the better keepers in the league. I think that's exactly the sort of thing you want to see, right? Like we're so used to just having this kind of, I don't want to say tepid football team, but there was nobody out there. I can't remember the last time we had anybody in the middle of the park screaming at the top of their lungs for people to get back in their fucking positions. And do you know what I mean? Actually take people by the scruff of the neck. It's all well and good doing it in the changing room. Like, do you know what I mean? It's all well and good having a little Hugo Lloris, Son Heung-min moment on a documentary, but where is it out on the pitch when you actually need it? Like, where was that when Brighton scored their first goal the other day? So, I mean, you know, I'm all about it. I'm all for it. I wish we had a couple more outfield players that were a little bit more like that. Yeah. Because I notice, you know, you got a Pedro Porro there, and you got a James Maddison at points, and they're just kind of sitting there. And I wish they had a bit more of that in them. I wish we had a bit more of it all over the park.
No, 100%. I completely agree. But it is good to see someone emerging, you know, as a vocal leader. That's something that I've spoke about for quite some time. I even look at a lot of the goals we've conceded this year. I just think if there was a lot more communication on the football pitch defensively, which I don't understand why has gone out of modern day football, you know, in order to keep things organized and all, especially in life and jobs and all, we need someone that's a leader, that's over that communicates. And, you know, for instance, the goal the other day against West Ham, yes, Pedro Porro had to move inside to cover, but no problem. But then scream at someone like a Johnson or scream at someone, one of them midfielders, to come and take kudos coming in off the back post. You know, it's simple communication. Some of the goals that were against Brighton come down again to simple communication. People taking responsibility for people, basically going, you pick up. And that's why I question, you know, I still think we need them natural winners in our squad, because I think that's what a natural winner does. He doesn't need a captain's armband, or he doesn't need to be told that. Because he wants to win so bad, he almost takes on everybody else's instructions, locks them in up there, and barks them out to them during the games. That's what natural winners do, and it's good to see that Vicario is emerging as that, but I want to see more from some of our outfield players. I want to see more from, like, Romero, a World Cup winner. Yeah, okay, silent assassin, but we need to communicate across that back line. Can you step up and do it? Mickey van de Ven, still young, but you've been at Tottenham long enough now. A lot of this squad is new. Step up, become that leader. Pedro Porro to a certain degree. I'm looking for players across that back line now to help Vicario, even in that midfield. I think Sonny leads by example, but is not the most vocal. And like Drew said, there's no point in doing it, you know, in the dressing room. Sometimes it needs to be done on the football pitch, and I think Tottenham players would do well to recognise, and especially away from home. I think if we do that away from home, you don't see some of the collapses we've had, you know, away from home so far this season. Sam, what's your thoughts on Guglielmo Vicario there? Do you think Ange Postecoglou would love that? Do you think he'd be annoyed by that?
Well, first of all, I'm a bit sad you didn't get the video of him on his birthday going absolutely mental in the club to Shakira's Waka Waka.
Yeah. You've got to send me that. I need to see that.
I'll find it after the stream. Look, I think that Ange will love it. He might be thinking, all right, Vic, calm it down a little bit. And maybe that's why in one of those
more
videos,
vocal than Ange on the sideline.
Exactly. That's why I think in one of those videos, when Ange sort of comes into frame, you see Vicario like quickly sit down.
Yeah.
Like a little naughty schoolboy. But I've said it before, you know, like, you can question some of the qualities of Vic, you know, with his maybe with some of his corner antics, which admittedly, and I think everyone can kind of admit, have been a lot better this season. Is he the most commanding? No, but he's getting there, and he's only 27, and that's, you know, relatively young for a goalkeeper, right? Especially only having one season of Premier League for a top club, playing previously for Empoli, with no disrespect to them, but I've never really heard anything about them besides the name. So I've said before, like, he just has the right qualities, the right minerals as like a player and a man in the club. Like that quote about, I'd have signed in blood and crawled to England to come to Spurs. Like, how can you not just like love that? That's like a goosebumps kind of moment. That's the kind of thing in, like, if he ends up spending a serious amount of time at the club, like, that's like under his like obituary when he leaves. I just think that he has the right attitude, and clearly they think that they've rewarded him for that mentality that he's got by putting him in the leadership group, because he's not afraid to bollock the players, and he's not afraid to let you know that you've done something wrong. As Drew said, unlike Hugo Lloris, who was a bit more reserved in his on-field criticism, except the only time we really saw it come out was that kind of abysmal little scrap he had with Son that was mentioned in the documentary. So it's definitely very pleasing to see, and it fills me with a lot of pride to see a player so proud to like wear the badge that he wants to be out there conducting the lads and giving them a secondary sort of manager direction.
I mean, what we all say, like, all we want out there is for them to love our team as much as we love our team. For him to do that, it kind of you kind of lean more towards, well, obviously he, like Sam just said, he cares, he wants to play for the badge. You got to love that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, especially me, I've been calling for leaders, vocals, and fair play to Vicario. Look, I'm not a big fan of goalkeeper being captain. I wonder, is that where Tottenham could go in future? Onto someone like Vicario, if he's around here long enough, post-Son. Let's wait and see. But it's absolutely great to see. And I honestly, when I seen that after the game, I couldn't help but chuckle. I was like, this lad absolutely loves this. This is Azy Alkmaar on a Thursday night. He's more vocal, about the team out there than what some of the fans are and stuff like that. Absolutely love that from Guglielmo Vicario, showing leadership. Just a follow-up question, Dermo. You look at the leadership group right now. It was Son, it was Romero, it was Maddison. Now Vicario has been added to that this season, but you're starting to see the likes of Kulusevski start to emerge, other players that maybe people didn't think had that sort of ability in them. Do you think there could come a point, maybe, it's not really going to happen this season, but next summer, where Ange might have to rethink about that leadership group, maybe take some people out and add some people in?
Yeah, I think so. Look, you don't have to be a captain to be a captain on the field. I mean, I can go back to my era of a young lad watching Spurs, and they got the likes of Graham Roberts, Paul Miller, Tony Galvin, players like that weren't captains, but would give you a rollicking if you weren't doing your job. I was at the Brighton game, and Vicario never shuts up. I swear to God, he just goes from minute 1 to minute 95, talking and yelling all the time. I mean, no wonder Van der Ven had a look on his face like, Jesus, lad, would you just give it a rest for 5 minutes? I mean, you see him there, and he's sitting there thinking, Jesus, my ears are killing me.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think he will change it. I don't think you have to be a captain to be a captain on the pitch. You don't need the armband. I think I still go back to that 80s side on the Birkinshaw. He had about 8 or 9 captains on that field. On that team, you had the Graham Roberts, Paul Miller, Ozzy Ardiles. Everyone would give you a rollicking if you did something wrong. But I do feel Kulu is a future captain. I don't like goalkeeping captains either. I just don't think they're effective enough. For me, it's either a central defender or a central midfielder. For me, should be captain. And I think your captain has to be. You have to have a mix between Roy Keane, Brian Robson, and probably probably them two, and probably Graham Roberts as well. Somebody that Roy Keane would give you a bollocking there and then if you weren't doing your job right. Where there's other captains that lead by example, but you've got to have that bit of bite in you as well to turn around to a player. You ain't tracking back. Do your effing job. Do your effing job and get on with it. Like Gary Mabbott was another great captain.
Mm.
We've had great captains in the past, and I feel captains now are too quiet. They're too passive. They don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Sod that. You're there to win a football match. You're there to win a cup or a league. You got to everyone. You got to lead by example. All the great teams that have won trophies have led by example because their captain is not shy away of giving you a rollicking if you make a mistake and you're not doing your job. That's being the captain. Sam's right. Doing it in the changing room, or Drew, whoever said it, doing it in changing room, that's no good. You want to do it out on the pitch. You don't have to be a captain, wear the armband to be a captain. Anyone can be a captain. You can have 11 players full of captains on that pitch. It's all pulling in the right direction. And, there is captains that don't need to shout, that lead by their example, lead by their talent. And there's other captains like Roy Keane that have to lead by their mouth and motivate as well. So
ideally, I think you need both, Dermo. I think you do need one that is vocal, that will go around and tell the hard truths. But then you also need someone that comes in, shows the right dedication and application to training and everything they do around Tottenham Hotspur. I think you need both. But I'm a firm believer. I don't think you win anything on the football pitch unless there is communication out there. Someone that is a leader out on that football pitch that will be vocal. I'm a firm believer, and I will stand by that. Just quickly, Sam sent it to me as well. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I can't show it on here because music, famous songs and shit like that will be a straight copyright strike, and nobody wants that. So I won't be able to show it on here, unfortunately, but I will have a good chuckle at that later because I do think Vicario is a great character around Tottenham, and I do like to see his antics, a bit like Pedro Porro to a certain degree as well. We've got Kev Williams in the house, member for 10 months, says, I've been critical of Ange's lack of tactics, but I've noticed he's been implementing tactical managing lately, i.e. Papamata Sarr for Matters substitution. Look, I get people questioning Ange Postecoglou's tactics. I get that he's coming in here, and to a certain degree, even people of my age, he's going against what I was taught growing up in terms of, how to play this game, in terms of playing out from the back, all the risks you take, etc., etc. He's going against the grain, and I get it, but I don't buy into this that he's tactically naive. He came in here and finished 5th with a change in goalkeeper, a whole new backline, and without Harry Kane. He can't be tactically naive to finish 5th. I get what some people go where he's stubborn, he won't change his tactics, but how do you implement a philosophy and get everyone to buy into it and do what you want them to do if you're chopping and changing every single week? It's not going to happen. And the guy that we hired is all about philosophy. Someone like Emery, he will adapt every week to the opposition. But someone like Postecoglou, he has his way of playing. It's worked for him. Who are we to tell him to change it? It's up to people at Tottenham Hotspur to grasp it. And look, he is becoming better during games. I think with the Brighton game, look, I get he got a lot of criticism for not changing it soon enough, but I think he left his players out there to try and see who would step up, who would try and alleviate the pressure that we were under. And unfortunately, no one done it. But he learned his lesson. The following game against West Ham, hauled Maddison off because he didn't track back against Brighton. He didn't step up. He brought in Papamata Sarr. And there will be a degree of learning on the job for Postecoglou as well. Yes, the Premier League's a step up, but I don't buy that the guy's tactically naive. His tactics push nearly every single team in the Premier League back in their own half for large periods of game, which is not where they want to be. So I don't buy into that 100%. But I understand if people are expecting the manager to change week to week on the opposition. Personally, I don't want that. I want to have a style of play. I want to have a philosophy. I want to play football our way, and it'd be good enough to go and win games rather than adapting each week to the opposition. Personally, Kev Williams, don't get me wrong. There will be a degree of, look, the opposition are strong down this side, we need to get more bodies across, or this is an area where they're weak this week, that's the area we need to go and target. There will be that from Postecoglou for different opposition every week, but what he's not going to do is tailor his formation or his starting lineup to the opposition, I think is the best way to put it. Kev Williams, deserve a pat on the back for that one. Thank you for sending me off there, Kev. We've got Dark Sung G. We have to win today against Palace with only Eze. No, 100%. Look, Mateta up front. I'm not being funny. You may as well stick the jersey on me, Harris, number 10. I'm the same size. I'll probably move as quick as him, to be brutally honest with you. And I'd probably have the same impact on a Premier League. In fact, I'd probably have more of an impact, actually. Give myself some credit. But outside of Eze, Glasner is finding it hard. And look, they don't have bad players. They have no, not Maeda. What's the guy? Kamada. A lot of Spurs fans wanted him in at the time. He's there at Crystal Palace. Young Wharton is emerging as a good prospect. They've brought in Nketiah from Arsenal and stuff. You know, they do have some decent players around, but they just don't know how to score right now. And hopefully that continues today. Hopefully it's not Dr. Tottenham today, Dark Sungji. It'd be nice to get out of here with a clean sheet and 3 points in the bag. Good to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. And tell your dad, hopefully Liverpool do beat Arsenal later on. I know he's a big Liverpool fan. We also have this from Yanis Rubelis. Big up, Yanis. Good to see you, sir. Member for 5 months. Papa Ange loves our club. Come on, you Spurs. And look, one thing I think he deserves a lot of credit for is as well, all the questions and stuff that have been put to Ange Postecoglou, he's took sole responsibility for every single time. He hasn't blamed the owners. He hasn't come out blamed transfer policy. He hasn't come out and blamed the players. He hasn't blamed the fans like other managers have done previously. He's took full responsibility. My responsibility, I'll deal with it. I'll make it better, and we'll move on. I like that from Ange Postecoglou, to be brutally honest with you, Yanis. And look, he does love Tottenham, and I love the fact that he mentioned Bill Nick there the other day, you know, in his press conference, and understands that that's where fans sort of want to get back to. Absolutely love that from Ange Postecoglou, actually telling us and reminding us of our history rather than previous managers who told us we have no history, which I absolutely love that from Ange Postecoglou. The regular member for 35 months. Great to see you, sir. A lot of teams dropping points yesterday. Come on, you Spurs. City were very close to dropping points as well. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but Villa dropping points yesterday. Huge opportunity for us to win and make that gap between us and all them teams above us a lot smaller today, regular. So hopefully we can keep winning games and keep putting points on the board. Do you know what? It's mad, actually, just quickly, the regular, because I think after the first 5 games, I seen a similar stat where it was like, oh, this is our worst season since, like, I think it was like 16, 17, one of them years. But when I went back and look at that year, I think it was Pochettino, he started piss poor in the first 5 games, but I think we finished like second or third that season. We went on to have a really good season. Could we do the similar this season? Let's wait and see. And then Dark Sun G also says, Richie or Dominic Solanke, whoever starts, doesn't hurt us or subs on. Do you know what? I 100% agree with that. And I'm glad that we're starting to get to this point at Tottenham Hotspur where, you know, we can bring players on and off. Don't get me wrong. There's still certain positions, you know, where you bring players on, it does weaken you. But up front, you know, we've relied on a Harry Kane or a Son for far too long in years gone by. You know, we've got 2 strikers, I would argue, of similar sort of ilk, similar level, both offer you the sort of the same thing. So all you're doing is taking one off, bringing the other on and freshen it up, Dark Sun G. So I'm happy in that regard. And look, hopefully one of them bags some goals today, my man. But great to see you in the house. He's pumped for today's game. We've got this from the Belgian Hotspur. Joris, absolutely love that member for 7 months. Smash the likes. All aboard the Ange train. Choo-choo. Big up, Belgian Hotspur. Have a Duval for that one, my man. Absolutely appreciate the support. And in the big Ange we trust. There's only one more stop for the Ange train. That's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Either for people to get off or on. Let's wait and see, Belgian Hotspur. And then we've got this from Faz Radfar 31 Spurs. Why can't some fans give Ange time? I love him. Look, I'm not going to berate anybody that doesn't see what Ange Postecoglou is trying to do. I think everybody pays enough money to support this club. Everyone's well entitled to their own opinion on this football club without someone like me telling them how they should feel about this football club. And look, I understand it to a degree. With how poor we were for a large part of last season and the way we started this season, when you put the two together, I can understand where the concerns and stuff like that has come from. And look, don't get me wrong, we're not out the woods. We're on a good run. But when I look back at all them games, I expect Tottenham to win every single one of them, to be brutally honest with you. We've got tougher teams coming up. We've got Man City. We've got Aston Villa, some of the bigger teams coming up. Start winning them games, I think you see a lot more people get on behind Ange Postecoglou, Faz. Big yourself up, my man, and really, really appreciate the support, guys. But we're going to keep going. We're going to start talking about the lineup because the lineups will be out shortly, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. So we'll start with you on this one. Drew, and we'll work our way around the panel. I'm going to throw different questions out to each of you. Drew, will Yves Bissouma reclaim the midfield pivot role today, or will Rodrigo Bentancur get the nod following his impressive Europa League performance? He's one of the best players on the pitch.
I've got a feeling that being as... Did he play? He played the full 90 on Thursday as well, didn't he?
Bentancur, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a feeling Bissouma's going to get the nod. If Bentancur had come off half time or 60, 70 minutes, I could see him starting today. But I've just got a feeling that he's trying to play Bissouma into a bit of form. And I don't know, man. I'm wondering if Ange thinks that even though it's away at Palace, with the way Palace are playing at the moment, and their lack of any kind of, they just don't really seem to have a midfield. I'm really surprised that given, they lost Michael Elise, didn't they? And they lost Joe Jim Anderson, who were the real main ones. They managed to keep Gay, they managed to keep Eze, and yet they're still just really not performing. So I'm wondering, I was just about to say, I'm wondering whether he's going to go with Bissouma and Sarr as a double pivot, but then that means dropping either Maddison or Kulu, which I can't see him doing. So I think it'll be Bissouma. I think it will.
Do you know what? I think Bissouma would be the right call. Big up Just a Harmless Potato member for 8 months. It just says fan show. I'm not sure whether you put a message there or not. Just a Harmless Potato, but big yourself up, my man, and really, really appreciate the support. Guys in the chat, please let us know as we go through these questions who you want to see in the position and why. Personally, I think it would be the right call to go with Bissouma today. He is off the back of scoring against West Ham. Don't get me wrong. I think he's very loose in possession at times. I think Bentancur's a lot more assured in possession. However, I think Bentancur would be better served having Bentancur fully fit, ready to go Wednesday night with how good he is in possession. He doesn't lose the ball when he plays in that pivot role. Bissouma takes a lot more risks. So I think today would be the right game for Bissouma with Bentancur starting there Wednesday night. I think it's crucial Bentancur plays that pivot because we're going to want, when we do have possession against City, we're going to want to keep it. So Bentancur, I think, is very, very crucial. Whereas today, even if Bissouma gives it away, I expect within 15 seconds we'll have it back again. So, I do think Bissouma would be the right call for today. Keep letting us know in the chat, guys, your thoughts on that. Sam, James Maddison was substituted at halftime against West Ham last weekend. And he did start in Europe midweek. I think he played, about 70, 80 minutes. Do we expect him to start today, or could Papamata Sarr take his place after his impactful performance off the bench against West Ham?
It's kind of a tough one. I think I said last week that I thought Sarr would get the minutes in the Europa League. And obviously he came on, but I said that these kind of people, say you can't necessarily play, or you shouldn't necessarily play so attacking in the midfield with Kulu and Maddison in every game. But I said that a game like Palace, who are 18th at the moment, they've got 3 points. I think they haven't actually won a game yet. It's 3 draws. This is the kind of game where it's almost imperative that you do start 2 attacking midfielders or 2 more attack-minded midfielders, rather than going with the slightly more defensive approach. I mean, I could see Sarr coming on and getting decent minutes, but I think personally I would probably stick with Maddison. I think he had a very good game against Alkmaar. He didn't score, he didn't assist. Obviously, he gave the penalty away. But I think he looked very good on the ball. Their press wasn't that high, but when he did get pressed, he, juked between 2 or 3 players on a number of occasions, and linked up well with Bergwall, definitely in the first half. And I think had we had someone a bit more clinical on the wing, other than a certain player who I won't name because I'm not trying to bash him, I think that he probably would have got an assist or a goal, with a bit more link up. Because I think he took the sort of initiative to say, well, I'm the captain. I'm the most experienced in the midfield, one of the most experienced out there in general. Obviously, other than Fraser, who's like a granddad these days. But yeah, I think Maddison has kind of brushed his antics, his sideline antics, under the carpet, and I personally am willing to go on from it. As I said at the time, I didn't actually notice the stuff that Johnny was saying about him not celebrating the goals on the halfway line. But I don't mind a player being angry or frustrated that they go off, especially when the player who comes on gets a lot of praise for changing the game, and you end up winning 4-1. So yeah, I'm more than happy to see Maddison play. I think that him and Kulu link up very well, and against Palace, who are realistically going to play a low block, I think it would be important to have them both in the team.
No, 100%. Look, I have a follow-up question for you in just one moment on that, Sam. I think, look, it'd be interesting. I have heard. I'll come back to I have two follow-up questions, actually. I'll give you one and give one to Drew. But Soul Sniper Gamer says, disagree, Dave. Basuma is a better six. It's about a squad over these next 5 games. Palace, City, Villa, Galatasaray, and Ipswich. It's about squad rotation, not players being dropped. It's manager minutes. No, 100%. And look, when I am talking about players, coming out of the team, unless it's Werner, it is more about rotation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not slating Basuma, but I do think he's a bit more sloppy in possession than Bentancur. And I just think against Man City, we could be periods without possession. So when we do get it back, we need someone that's just going to be a little bit more short in possession, so that we can keep it. That's all it is. Soul Sniper, but big yourself up. But Sam, I have heard some people say, why can't you put Papa Matasar in there and move Maddison out to left-hand side? Before I don't want to get into the left-hand side yet. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But would you see that as a possibility today even?
I can see it. Whether it happens, I very highly doubt it personally. I don't like trying to shoehorn players into the team for the sake of it, personally. And as much as I really like Sarr, I have had a decent amount of criticism for him sort of since the start of pre-season. And, his ball to Son in the West Ham game was, magnificent. But I do question his consistency for playing balls like that, and his ability to play, kind of, as someone in the comments has said, to lockpick. And, he's had some good cameos off the bench. I still need to see more from him before I want to see him starting consistently again in the team. And I think that, other than the sort of start of the West Ham game and the second half of the Brighton game, I don't think our midfield has looked out of sorts, And I think that Bentancur, as much as we don't like to say he's been dropped, I think he has sort of lost his place in the Premier League to Basuma a little bit, because Biss has been putting in some great performances when he's been given his chances. And obviously Bentancur was part of that Brighton capitulation. So I think that there was, Anne just said to Biss, it's your time to make a claim. He's done that. And I think that it as you say, it will be Biss going forward until, either an injury or a drop in form. Not that Bentancur has been bad, because he's also had good games. But it's a results business at the end of the day, right?
Do you know what? I actually don't think Basuma has. I think he's been better. Has he been outstanding? I don't quite think so. But I also don't believe that Basuma is ahead of Bentancur in terms of when you take it player for player. Where I think Basuma is getting the minutes now ahead of him right now is Bentancur has a ban looming, and at some point Postecoglou has to get Basuma up and ready, for when Bentancur is out. Yes, Bentancur can play Thursday nights, and I think that's what we've seen. Thursday night Bentancur plays there, and maybe starting to get used to that a little. But I think that's maybe what we're starting to see is Postecoglou maybe getting ahead of that situation, rather than Bissouma being in there ahead of Bentancur in terms of performances. That's the way I see it. But chat, that's the great thing about these panels. Sam sees it differently, so let us know your thoughts on that situation. DJ Samuel, Agent 007, Messi Moore. Yeah, look, do you know what? It's weird, actually, because I was on the We Are Tottenham TV pump up before the game, and I was bigging up Mikey Moore. And do you know what? I've been a big advocate of some of the youth players that we've had around Tottenham and that we should start looking at them and giving them minutes. People were slating me. Dave, you know nothing about this guy. Which, I mean, I've watched the academy for the last how many years, so that was a nonsensical statement. But also, you know, it's too soon. You know, how can you say that? You got to see him first. And then when Madison turns around and said he thought he was playing with Neymar, I mean, I was so happy. I was so happy because it's like the secret's out the bag now. Everyone can get carried away with this kid. He looks like he's going to be a generational talent. And I like the nickname that Stevie Fraser had for him earlier on, Neymar. You know, Neymar, absolutely love it. He's absolutely brilliant, Mikey Moore. He roasted that fullback so bad that he had to get taken off and they had to bring someone else out there. And then he just roasted him again. It was absolutely great to watch. You know, seeing 20-odd, 30-year-old old men being ripped apart by a 17-year-old. And what's hilarious about it is they were starting to get pissed off with him. So anytime he was getting the ball, they were getting right up behind him, looking to hit him hard. He'd just pop it around him and go. It was absolutely great to watch from Mikey Moore. And even if you stand off him, he can play the ball with the inside of his foot with great curl or the outside of the boot. So he's just a dangerous player, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what his career holds at Tottenham Hotspur. I do think against Alkmaar, it was a passing or a changing in the guard in terms of, I think Alkmaar probably signals an end to Werner's career here at Tottenham once January comes around. And I think Mikey Moore has shown that he is more than capable to be able to carry that flag moving forward and lay down some, minutes out on that side, DJ Samuel. But good to see you, and hopefully you are keeping well, my man. Absolute legend. But look, we will keep it. Drew, over to you, my man. Put yourself in Postecoglou's shoes. Me and Sam have had our opinions on it. But what factors do you think Postecoglou would be considering when deciding between Madison and Papa Matasar today? Does it come down to what Sam says, where it strictly comes down to who can unpick Palace's tight low block defence?
I would think so. I mean, I think our stronger. I mean, I personally believe that Bentancur is a better six than Bissouma, and that's not a dog on Bissouma. I think he's great. I just think he lacks a little bit of composure sometimes that Bentancur brings. So my favourite three is Bentancur, Kulusevski, Madison, but I'm also a fan of making changes if you genuinely think they're required. And he obviously, like we said with the West Ham game, he obviously saw something in Madison, saw something in the way that the game was going, and wasn't shy about making the change. And I'm down with that kind of philosophy. Like I'm like, it's like you said earlier, you want to play with an identity. You want to be the team that goes and imposes yourself on the other team, but you don't want a one-dimensional manager that doesn't know how and when to make changes. And just to touch on what we was talking about, what was being spoken about earlier, I think the problem with last season was that, and I think I liken the analogy to some sort of, dining table, or when you're making a meal, like all Ange had last year was meat and potatoes and a vegetable. Do you know what I mean? Like he didn't
dinner out of that.
Yeah, but he didn't have the salt, he didn't have the pepper, he didn't have spices. Like it was very one-dimensional because he was forced to do that because we had so many injuries and so many people picking up, red cards, and then you had players trying to understand a new philosophy. So I just think, when it comes to this midfield, I think today he's going to go for the 2-10s because I think he's going to want to try and push them back. And I think they are going to play on a low block and try and play on a counter because they've got a couple of players that got some decent pace. But also, I think if all of a sudden it starts to get a bit overwhelming and after 50, 60 minutes, you're actually seeing us being pegged back a little bit, then I can see him, depending on who's having the better game. And I think it should be a meritocracy, right? It comes down to who's having the better game, who fits better. If Kulu's playing, like, if he has an off day, which apparently he doesn't do this season, but if he's absolute dog shit and Maddison is doing quite well, then who's to say he wouldn't, hook off Gayan and bring Sarr on for him? So I just think, I think finally we've been calling out for being able to put players in and pull players out and not lose so much in terms of quality. And I think now you're starting to see that. And the one thing I would say about Sarr as well, because I completely understand where Sam's coming from in terms of the inconsistencies, but he's also only, 22? So, yeah. I mean, you can kind of understand where that comes from. If he was 25, 26, then obviously I'd be a little bit more concerned. But I can just, if we can hold on to players like Sarr, and if they can actually develop into the players that you can kind of see them potentially becoming, like, I mean, he's as close to a Patrick Vieira-esque midfielder with just being able to cover ground. Like, if he could turn into half of a Vieira, I would be well happy. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I agree with you. When I look at Papamata Sarr, we've seen he can get in the box, score goals, right? We've seen that over his career at Tottenham. We've seen that he does have the ability to be able to pick up that ball, like against West Ham, spray it 30, 40 yards in behind for someone to run onto. We've seen that he has the tenacity and the drive to be able to get around and turn over ball. And he can be good in possession. I've seen him pick up the ball and split the centre-back and full-backs with passes. The problem Sarr has is he's not pulling all the attributes he has together to be able to, bring that sort of perfect game. But I do see the different parts of his game that makes a complete player that are there. It's just about him now finding a way to bring it all together. And I think we've got a really, really good player on our hands going forward. But I do think he might have to be content with a place on the bench today. So let's wait and see what happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, the next couple of years is going to determine whether he is, the next incarnation of Patrick Vieira or he's the next incarnation of Carlton Palmer. Like, it could go either way. Let's hope it's not Carlton Palmer.
I really, really do hope so, to be fair. Big up Tommy Whitaker as well. Good to see you, sir. I know you came in there. Someone else I wanted to say hi to as well. Gary Swams as well. Great to see all you guys coming in. Really appreciate the support, guys. And Nico awake in New York, as always. Great to see you. Is there any kind of shout for Bergvall starting? Sadly, I don't think so, Nick. I think, look, with Bergvall, I think we've all seen pre-season. There's a real gem of a player in there. But he's had a tough Europa League campaign so far. He was hauled off after 8 minutes on one of them. The next two games, hasn't really had that space or he hasn't really flourished, to be honest, in either performances. Don't get me wrong. I think if Werner took that opportunity from the outside of the boot that Bergvall played, maybe having different conversations around Bergvall. But I still look at him. There's still a kid with a bit to learn in that midfield, Jack or Nick. And I think he's going to have to just sit there and be patient, quite frank. But I stand by it. I think there's a really, really good player in there. And that, Nick, big yourself up. But guys, we are going to keep going. We're going to go for the next 25 minutes. Lineups will be out in the next 10 minutes. We'll bring them up, get the guys' initial thoughts on all that good stuff as well. But if there is any stuff that maybe we haven't touched upon that you would like us to, feel free to get it in the chat or make it a super chat. Make sure that I don't miss it. These early starts, sometimes Dave sees doubles or don't see things at all. So, would really appreciate it. And just, make sure we get the stuff answered that you want to. But Dermo, on to you. Heung-min Son is unavailable today. How should Postecoglou approach the decision on the left wing between Richarlison, Odegaard, and Mikey Moore? And who would you like to see start today, Dermo? And by the way, everybody in the chat, let us know who you think should start at left wing today and your reasons behind it.
I would love to see Mikey Moore get his debut in the Premier League today, but I don't think it will happen because of the game on Thursday. I think it's going to be Richie because I don't think Odegaard's probably that ready to come back yet. I think he'll probably get a few minutes today. But I think it'd be Richie.
Is Richie good enough out left, though, Darmo? Because if I remember correctly, now that you've said it, didn't he play left wing against Crystal Palace before? And a lot of fans were very frustrated with his performance because he doesn't have that crossing ability or that ability to be able to beat his men the way Moore does or his son does out in that position. Would that be the wrong decision if it was Richie?
It probably would be, but Odegaard, I've just come back from a long injury. Do you start him?
Yeah, Yeah.
I mean, that's the issue I have. I would love him to start Mikey Moore, but I don't think he is. We don't want them to start Werner, but I think that's going to be probably that's who we are going to see in the team sheet.
We'll cue the meltdown in an hour's time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. He's got a decision to make. Do I chance Mikey Moore? Do I give him his debut? Do I think he's ready enough? Well, if you're good enough, you're old enough, as the old saying goes. Do I start with Odegaard, but he's just come back from an injury? Do I want to push him so far, or do I want to give him a few more minutes during the game? Do I put Richie out there? Well, as you say, Richie did play there for Everton. That was his position on the left-hand side when he was playing for Everton, but never really can't cross a ball. So he's got a dilemma. If I was Ange, I would love him to start Mikey Moore, because I think Mikey Moore has got he's got no fear. He would just run at that Palace defense. The Palace defense would know how to mark him, how to keep him out of the game. And I think you want to see young players do well. My heart says Mikey Moore, but my head says he's going to start with Werner, because with Odegaard coming back from the injury, you don't want to push him too far in case he breaks down again. That's the only thing. I don't want to see Werner in the team either, but you know full well it's going to be Werner, but I don't want him in the team. But Mikey Moore for me.
Look, I'll have my say quickly on it, and we'll get the boys in on this position as well. Just quickly, Rayman, Dave Archie Gray at right back or DM. I think, look, long term he will go into midfield, but I think this season people may get used to the idea he's going to play a right back in cup games and in Europe to cover for Pedro Porro. P Dubs, good to see you as well, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. Let me know if you've got that hot tub out today. And we've also got Texas Bra 06, sorry, in the house. Really love that. He says, come on, you Spurs from Texas. Let's get 3 points today. Mikey Moore needs to start, in my opinion. Jacob from United Spurs of America is also from Texas. Pick yourself up, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. And welcome to the gospel of the Irish Hotspur. Hopefully you enjoy me and the cult over here, my man. Really, really do appreciate it. I do worry about today's game going forward, especially out wide, because, and Drew, let me get my point out first before you came me, right? Is when it comes to Brennan Johnson, right? He's been on a very good scoring streak. Do not get me wrong. But when it comes to him creating chances for others, I still haven't seen him adapt on that side. You know, the other night, I think he had a good opportunity to put a ball in, completely spurned it. But, I feel like, yes, he makes good runs off Kulu, and don't get me wrong, he gets himself into positions to take the goals, but other people provide them for him. He's not a provider of goals for other people. Then on the left wing, if you go with someone like Timo Werner, or you go with someone like Richarlison, I worry, is Solanke going to get the service that's required of him? Because I firmly believe that's why Solanke's not scoring. He is working very hard. He's putting the opportunities on the plate for other people. But can anyone pull up a game where people have put him through one-on-one or slid him through? I can't. And I think that is a huge problem for today's game. It concerns me a little, especially with Selhurst Park being a really tight pitch. You need players that can get on the ball, take players out of the game, deliver killer crosses. I worry about that slightly from either wing. But Drew, I'll give you your chance to respond on my Johnson comment. And I'm not berating him. Hopefully you understand that I'm not berating him. He's performed very well and he's scoring goals. But the creativity side, I still think I need answered from him. But your response on that, and then also, who do you think should start left wing tonight? Or today?
To be honest with you, Dave, you make a very good point. And I don't think he's particularly good at that either. I think his last ball leaves a lot to be desired. I think he is actually more of a second striker. He actually is a better finisher, like you said, than he is a creator. So I would like to think that will, now that we've got a solid target man, and Richie hopefully will get a run of form and won't be in and out the team. I think it's again going to kind of, I hate to I'm going to sound like a broken record at points, but it's one of those things where you get a nucleus of players playing together regularly and being coached the same way, then you're just going to get benefits from it. So yeah, Johnson needs work on his final ball. I think his finishing is great. I think he makes the runs that he needs to drag people out of space. there's a lot of times where I've actually seen him, funnily enough or weirdly, kind of take up a number 9 position when the ball's on the other side. So, or, you know, when it's come out and been kind of, you know, recycled. As far as the left-hand side, I mean, I'm kind of at the point with Timo Werner where I've had enough as well. I was really trying desperately just to give the guy a chance, but there's not, I don't know. He's got something going on. There's a monkey on his back. There's something going on in his head. He just cannot seem to, you know, he's playing, he's honestly starting to play he's been playing like a championship level footballer for probably the last 6 months. I can see why we brought him back. Apparently he's very good in the dressing room. You know, great character to have around. So, you know, if as a consequence of Timo Werner being great in the dressing room but not being quite so good on the pitch is the reason why Mikey Moore is taking the chances that he's taking, like in some weird combination of things, like even though it should be the other way around and Timo should be commanding that position. I don't know if it just so happens serendipitously that Mikey Moore benefits from it, then so be it. You know, I think today, I think he's probably going to start. I think just because I think he's going to try and play. He's going to try and play him into some sort of form because of the amount of money that he's on. Like, you've got to do something with him for the next 5 or 6 games, right? So, I don't know. If there's a chance of maybe reviewing it and looking at it in December and maybe have him go somewhere else, I wouldn't be opposed to it. If we have to buckle down and you have to have him till the end of the year, then fair enough. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can see him just being, they're just going to persevere with him until it becomes detrimental to the actual team, which some would argue it already has. You know, some would say that's already the case. Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, Werner's had enough chances to be on a run himself of 4 or 5 goals in as many games. You know, that's the thing with Timo Werner. He's had some glorious opportunities. But I think just to sum up, maybe my point on Brennan Johnson as well. J-Mac says Brennan is an inside forward and not a touchline winger. And I think that's a great sort of what's the word? Not discretion, disparage. Someone help me out. What's the word? Distinguishment between the two. J-Mac, big yourself up, my man. Absolute great comment. But look, I'd love to see Mikey Moore today. I do think he's earned that. Just quickly, Paul O'Keefe has put out today that Son's absent from today's squad is precautionary only. He could have played today, but Tottenham want to be careful as to not see him re-injure himself. So they obviously feel like they can get by this game without Son and resting Sonny to make sure he's fully fit to be devastating against Man City on Wednesday night. Now, the lineup should be out in just a moment, waiting for them to be put out. Sam, just quickly, you only have a minute or so until I get the lineups on screen. Left wing, who's your preferred choice today?
Moore.
Why?
I just think that he showed enough. Admittedly, as I said in the group chat, I didn't think he was particularly good in the first half. He had a couple moments, but second half, he just showed.
Come on, he's starting. He's starting.
He can be exactly what we need. So I just wanted to say before you go to the lineups, I got 2 quick things. One was the only game I can remember Solanke having a good one-on-one. Mad. Is the United game. He like late on and he sort of fluffed his lines. And then with Johnson not being a great sort of final ball player, I do think he'd have more assists if the left winger actually did the role that Johnson does to like get those tap-ins. But yeah, that's kind of really what I have to say.
No, 100%, definitely agree. A lot, as people can see, Mikey Moore is starting. Just bear with me. I'll read the lineup and the subs bench for you guys, and we'll go around and get everybody's thoughts. Of course, Big Vic, as you can see, our second manager, our assistant coach, he is back in goals tonight. We've got Postman Paro on the right-hand side, who has been a bit quiet of late. Hopefully a big performance tonight we could really do with his passing ability and crossing range in this game. We've got Romero, who captains the side today in Sonny's absence alongside Van de Ven. Destiny Doji back in at left back. Then in the pivot, it is Yves Bissouma coming back in today off the back of scoring against West Ham last week. Then we've got James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski also in the number 10 roles. Brennan Johnson outright. Mikey Moore, the 17-year-old teen sensation who people told me it's too soon. He's not good enough. He's too young. He starts in the Premier League and makes his debut today. I'm absolutely buzzing about it, and hopefully he can be the one to unlock the door. Absolutely buzzing for the kid. A great ambassador for the academy right now. On the bench, Fraser Forrester, Ben Davies, Radu Dragosin, Archie Gray, Rodrigo Bentancur, Papamata Starboy, Lucas Bergval, Teeny Weenie, and Big Rich on the bench as well. So that is today's lineup along with the bench. Sam, I'll be fair. We'll start with you, my man. What's your thoughts on the lineup, and give us your score prediction for today's game, lad?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much exactly as I expected, to be honest. I
People are saying it's a solid lineup.
I genuinely did think that he would start more today. Having taken Werner off after half time, I just thought, oh, this is not a great sign for Timo if, you know, your biggest supporter is taking you off at half time in the Europa League. Not that there was necessarily anything more sinister than just Ange thinking, I need to bring on someone a bit more clinical. And I also thought that the rest of the team kind of did more than enough in the West Ham game to show that they all deserve to start. Obviously, the 3 of the back 4 or 4 of the back 5, if you want to include Vicario, all got rested on Thursday, so that all makes sense for them to come in. Bissouma got rested as well, and yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for how it goes. This is kind of like the team, maybe other than Bissouma for Maddison, and obviously Moore. This is kind of the team that we see week in, week out. So I don't think there's any real surprises other than maybe Moore starting. But like I said, I actually did think he was going to start today, because I heard that Son was out. I didn't think that Richie would start, and if he did start on the left, I thought it would be odd, seeing as he's also coming back from quite a lengthy injury. And then obviously Odegaard himself is also coming back from an injury. So I just didn't see there being any other option but for Ange to start Moore, to be honest.
More. How'd you like it? How'd you like it? More. I'm buzzing.
I'm going to go 3-0. I usually predict conceding a goal, but I don't know. Like they've been on very poor form, and yes, it would be very Dr. Tottenham for them to score against us. But I just think that we'll have a bit too much for them today. And last season when we played there, it was 2-1, but the goal that they scored was a clear handball from Jordan Ayew. So we should have had a clean sheet in that game, and I've just got a feeling that we're gonna play nicely today. We're gonna click, and we'll maybe get a contribution from Moore. That's my. I don't know if he'll score, but I can see him getting a little assist, maybe a little Johnson assist.
Do you know what? Causey says, just imagine Mikey Moore scores today as well. Look, what I will say is the kid is getting closer. He had a great chance against Alkmaar. I think he'd be kicking himself looking back on it. Was close against Ferencvaros. You know, I think it's coming for the kid. But all he's got to do is just face his full back up, skin them like he did, and put good quality into the box. You know, and look, Mikey Moore, he's an excellent finisher. That's one thing there where he's really been recognised through the academy. Not only is he a great dribbler with the ball, taking players out of the game, but his passing range is absolutely exceptional. Crossing ability is exceptional, and he's got a very, very good finish on him. And he does well for England underage teams as well. He's their best player. Absolutely buzzing for the kid. Would he score today? I think it's a huge ask, but I definitely think there's potential for an assist or that. That's for sure. And so Sniper says he's expecting Moore to be the key. He's only 17, so how about a solid 60 minutes? No, look, I'd take a good solid 60 minutes. I don't think he's going to last the full 90. He played 90 minutes midweek. Ange Postecoglou sort of alluded to his press conference. You have to manage the kid's minutes at 17 years of age. You can't expect him to play 290 minutes at that intensity within the space of three or 4 days. You know, so he will come off at some point. But you know, a lot of people said that Mikey Moore wouldn't be anywhere near the team this year. That was all hype. I was lying, this, that, and the other. Well, he couldn't be any closer, could he? He's in the Premier League team for a starting lineup. So I'm absolutely buzzing about that. And hopefully he can come in and produce the goods today. It is another step up in test, but every time he's been tested, pre-season, Europa League, Izzy Akmar the other night, step up, absolutely rinsed them. Hopefully he can do the same again today. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And look, I'm not naive to know a 17-year-old isn't going to win this game on his own. But I'm just excited to see the academy players get their opportunities, because I have said I think they've been good enough for I think this crop we have are good enough, and I'm glad to see them get the opportunities, because in years gone by, we've seen the likes of Noni Madueke walk away from a contract at Tottenham Hotspur, and now look what he's done for Chelsea. You know, he's a constant threat. He's in the England team. He's scoring goals and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm glad to see these youngsters get their opportunity rather than walk away from the football club, because I do want to get back to a point where we've got 2, 3, 4 players around the squad that are Tottenham boys, come through the academy and absolutely love this football club. And Mikey Moore's living every Tottenham fan's dream. He's a Tottenham fan, by the way, so absolutely buzzing for him. Hollywood Hotspur says Matters' chance at redemption to prove himself, that he can cover more ground defensively, effort and desire. True. What's your thoughts on the lineup? And let's answer Hollywood Hotspurs here, where he says, you know, it's a chance for Maddison to prove that he will start working back.
Yeah, I mean, I think redemption's a little strong, but yeah, I completely see where he was coming from. And it's the midfield I kind of expected. But like I said, I don't expect one of Kulusevski or Maddison to be pulled off at halftime or after 60 minutes, maybe even regardless of how well we're doing or how well we're not doing. Like, you know, we've got to start managing minutes for everybody. You got to start getting minutes in everybody's legs. As far as Moore, like, I really genuinely did not expect Moore to be starting. So I mean, fair play to the kids. Like, it's pretty awesome to see. But I just want people to hold that energy, because there are some people that call for these kids to be played, and then, you know, they don't have such a good game, and all of a sudden they're rubbish. So I just think I think it's good, man. I'm going to go 2-0. I think we might be fortunate enough to keep a clean sheet, because I think Crystal Palace are just a bit blunt at the moment. I really hope the Dr. Tottenham days are behind us. 5 minutes till kickoff. Let's go, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
Not 5 minutes. It's more than 5 minutes. It's an hour and 5 minutes, Drew.
Oh the old. Oh, do you know what? It's because you lost time differences have changed, haven't you? Your clock's done a thing.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're correct. Honestly, I just woke up, and whatever time it says on my phone is the time I'm going with today.
You're right. You're right. It is another hour. My clocks have gone. Your clocks have changed, which means you're 5 hours instead of 6 hours. Right. So yeah, my head's gone funny now. All good.
Rimsey said you nearly gave him a heart attack there. He was going to have to, you know, throw his breakfast plates everywhere and sit down on the couch.
I'm sorry, chat. Yeah, I didn't mean that. That's that means I've got time for another coffee as well. I haven't got to rush off. Nice.
You're pulling a Dermot on it, so you are.
There you go.
Love it. But Hollywood Hotspur, look, I think it's a massive chance for Matters. Look, today we're more going to rely on him on picking that lock, but there will be times with a tight, tough pitch you're going to have to earn the right to play, and he's going to have to muck in defensively. And I think it's a huge opportunity to say, look, Ange, you flagged it, I'm aware of it, I'm going to start doing it. Hopefully that is the case today, Hollywood Hotspur. And big yourself up. It does come down to effort and desire and the willingness to do it. I think with Maddison, I think he was a big fish in a small pond at Leicester. Now he's come to Tottenham. The only one that has really earned the right at Tottenham, and especially given his age now, to not really do as much out of possession, is Son. Outside of that, everybody else has to muck in, and I do think and maybe that's why Maddison didn't make Southgate's England squad, because we know he's defensive-minded. So maybe that's one of the reasons why Hollywood Hotspur. But big yourself up, and hopefully we see a great performance today. Dark Sun Jesus, finally more starts in the Premier League. Come on, you Spurs, and I'm absolutely buzzing about this one. Dark Sun G. I do believe that a lot of the academy players we've got are good enough for their opportunities. It's good to see Mikey Moore now paving the way for the academy. I think it sends out a signal to any young players. If we are giving these guys opportunity and they're taking it, come to Tottenham Hotspur, you're going to get your chance. I think it's good. It's good for any player in the academy right now. They look at Mikey Moore, 17 years of age, right application, right dedication, things can go your way and you can find yourself in the team at any given moment. So absolutely buzzing for the academy. It's a good representation there. And he also says, why is there no Wilson Odebear on the bench? He is back now. That one I'm surprised about, especially because he was very sharp, very, very sharp when he came on the other night. Of course, nearly scoring. I put out a campaign, justice for Odebear. I do think that was a penalty that wasn't given. I think UEFA are guilty of trying to keep Azy Alkmaar in the game to make the last few minutes exciting, for their brand and stuff like that. So I'm still on the case of free Wilson Odebear. But interesting, he's not there today. Maybe again holding him back, because one thing I am seeing of Tottenham lately is they are more cautious about bringing their players back rather than rushing them back like we did last season. And maybe that's a hint that Postecoglou is a lot more okay with his squad, that he is saying to the medical team, don't send them back unless they're correct. But let's wait and see on that one, Dark Sun G. Big yourself up, my man. Absolute legend. Disappointed for Wilson, but look, his time will come. And then we will get on to Dermot. J Max says, Dave, you had the grin of a proud father when you saw that Mikey was on the team sheet. No, look, proud. Yeah, 100%. Look, I stuck my neck out on the line for a lot of these academy kids, bringing attention, saying that they're good enough. A lot of people didn't want to because of their age and stuff like that. But I think as soon as we get one in there and he can start producing, I think it will give fans a lot more confidence to say, do you know what? Let's give them a chance. What have we got to lose on that one? J-Mac. And then Dark Song G also says he plays with the 18 in a London derby with Dominic Solanke. And I think that's absolutely huge, Dark Song G, to give him a minute in the first team. And let's see how he integrates with what is our best 11. He stuck his head above the parapet in terms of the squad players, and he's done pretty well playing with them. That's why I never buy the excuse, they need time to gel and all that bollocks. Well, Mikey Moore didn't. He just came in and showed what he was about. Sometimes it does come down to application, desire, and hunger. So let's see if he can step up in opponent today. He's going to come up against, a lot better players than what he has done. He's not going to have as much space. But also, let's see how he can integrate with the likes of Solanke, Johnson, Kulu, Madison, players like that, Adoji. Let's see if he can have that sort of link-up still play there, Derek Sungji. Big game for Mikey Moore. London derby away from home for him to get his first Premier League start. It's absolutely great to see. But again, this is where I come back. I think missed opportunity not to introduce against West Ham to have that experience sort of heading into today's game. But Dermo, last but not least, sir, I'm going to end off with you. What is your score prediction? Everybody get your score predictions in the chat, please. And what's your thoughts on the lineup, Dermo?
I'm happy with the lineup. The only change I would have made was probably Papasar in for Madison. I just feel we looked better when we had a number 6, 8 and 10 in the side. I didn't think against West Ham, I thought we were too open in the midfield with 2 10s. So for me, but apart from that, I'm over the moon with Mikey Moore starting. Absolutely delighted. If you're old enough, you're good enough, and he will tear up the Premier League, the same as Ryan Giggs did when he was 17, when he made his starts for Man United. He tore up the Premier League. Mikey Moore's going to be the same. Tottenham have a tradition of bringing in these young lads and then becoming Tottenham legends, and he will be one. And I'm so excited with that front three, Johnson, Solanke and Moore. For me, that's got goals written all over it. And Kulu just sitting in behind them, we should win. And my score prediction today is going to be 5-0. I'm sorry, we're going for it. I think this has got 5-0 written all over it. I really do. I reckon we're going to. Yeah.
Did you realize Selhurst Park is like putting me and you in a 4-man lift together?
Yeah, I know, but we're going to still stop them 5-0 because we're a Tottenham Hotspur. We're the mighty Spurs. We shoot for anyone. And that front three with Kulu, and if Madison can play as he can play, I'll go for 5-0. That team's got goals written all over it.
Fair enough.
It really has got goals written all over it. So I'm sticking to that. I'm telling you, 5-0. Here we come, lads. The mighty Spurs are back.
Absolutely love it. Do you know what? I love how little it takes for Dermot to completely change his mind on a game. How little it takes, just one player included, and he's absolutely lost the run of himself. But you know what? I absolutely love that around game day, Dermot, and I would never, ever change that for the world. And that's why I think people need to get over and check out your channel, THFC Till I Die. Yeah. Make sure you get across there, smash the subscribe. on the big hunt for 2K. We've got 600 people tuning in here now. Even if 60 or 70 of you went across, smash the subscribe button, because I think Dermot's had a great show today alongside Drew and Sam as well.
I'm only 72 away, Dave.
72, so if we can get 72 of you across to get across there and smash that subscribe button, let's get Dermot to 2K, and hopefully his 5-0 prophecy comes to light. In terms for me, look, I do think it's going to be a tough game. I think maybe it'd be more the second half. I think, look, we need to score early. If we score early, we'll go on and rout Palace. The longer it goes on, I think the tougher the game's going to get, and the more belief and galvanization that they're going to get with them. I think it is going to be a tough game. I'm going to go 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. I also want to say, although I'm very, 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 very excited to see Mikey Moore make his Premier League debut today, absolutely buzzing about it. I think we all have to also have the mindset, if it doesn't work out, let's not treat him like we've treated Timo Werner. But look, rightly so on Timo Werner. I'm not berating anybody for it. He's been useless. But you've got to remember, the kid's only 17 years of age. If he comes in today, he finds it a tough afternoon, I'm still going to back the guy to get more minutes, going forward, because I think there is going to be times for it in a young 17-year-old's development that there are going to be games where he finds tough, where he comes unstuck. But let's not berate him. Even though it's a London derby, we're in the heat of passion. Let's keep in our minds, the kid's 17 years of age. Then you had a child at 17. We all put ourselves at 17, nowhere near ready to enter the adult world. This guy's out there living everybody's dream growing up. He's playing in a Premier League football match across millions across the world. Let's keep in mind he's 17 years of age. Let's not go after him if he doesn't have the best of performance. But hopefully he proves everybody wrong, goes out there and absolutely smashes it. But guys, I want to say a massive thank you to, first of all, Drew. Really appreciate it. This guy is on American time, and he's getting up really early to come on these pre-match build-ups with us, and I really enjoy his contribution as well. So can we get a round of applause for Drew in the chat, and a lot of love, please. Also, Sammy Boy woke him up, said, Sam, and this was 11:10. Sam, what are you doing? I'm in bed, Dave, just waiting for the game. Fancy coming on? He says, no problem, give me 5 minutes. Absolutely love that from Sam. Can we get another round of applause as well, please, for Sammy Boy? Really enjoyed his contribution today, and we'll definitely have more of them on these as well going forward. And then last but not least, I was debating whether to give him a round of applause because he was like 20 minutes late today. However, he does have the excuse that the clocks, did move time, so I'm going to let him away with it today. But also, he absolutely smashed it out the park. A round of applause for Dermatron in the chat as well. And look, if you love me, you think I've had a good one, why not me too? But guys, I am going to go with a 2-0 Tottenham win. We'll see you back here in less than half an hour's time, 1:30 for the watch along, myself and Jack. And we'll have the half an hour before the game and then enjoy the game together. Hopefully a lot of celebrations and hopefully a very good Sunday. We get 3 points. Dave finishes it off with a nice roast beef bit dinner with mash, roast potatoes, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, Yorkshire puddings, and a nice bit of gravy on top. And that will be the chef's kiss for today's game, along with a Mikey Moore goal. And lastly, a massive thank you to every single one of you who tuned in today. Over 600 people in-house. The support has been absolutely immense. So thank you all. I know a lot of you are busy on Sundays. You've got kids to drive to sports. You've got a missus you also need to help clean the house with and keep happy. You've got family. You've got all that sort of jazz. So thank you very much for giving up your time and spending it with us today. And then last but not least, everybody who has gone the extra mile, starting with Eddie, Ash, Mark, Seven, Kev Williams, Dark Sung G, Yanis, the regular, Belgian Hotspur, Just a Harness Potato, Faz Radfar, DJ Samuel, Hollywood Hotspur, and Dark Sung G again. Really appreciate all your support, guys. And look, same with nearly every YouTube channel out there at the moment, majority of them anyway. None of us have big backers, none of us have people behind us that pay us to sit here and stuff like that. It's all put together, done off our own back, and it's not easy, guys. Spend a lot of time, getting the right sort of talking points and all of that sort of jazz together, reading countless of articles and all that sort of stuff. So your support is necessary, and I really do appreciate it. So guys, Go and get a sandwich. Go and have a nice glass of Coke. Get the bubbas into you. Get giddy and hyped up for this game. I'll see you back here at 1:30. Come on, you Spurs.
Come
In the
on, you
Big Red
Spurs.
we trust.
Come
We
on,
never
come on.
stop, baby.